It's working. Okay.
I see. Okay.
I will put you in the waiting room and we'll
Okay.
BRB.
I'll be here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. What is it? 9 minutes past. We were going live and it wasn't working and it wasn't working and it wasn't working and it wasn't working. So we tried plan B and plan C and plan D and here we are. So thank you so much for being patient. My name is Denise Walsh and you are here in the Stop Sabotaging Challenge because you are ready to finish what you start. I talk to people all of the time who have really big dreams and really great intentions, but don't actually follow through. And there's a million reasons why. And you guys, it's not your fault. What we want to do within this challenge is to give ourselves the brain and heart space to be intentional about our surroundings, who we're spending time with, who we're listening to, our social media, our television, our friend group, and be intentional about the life that we're going to create for ourselves. So before I bring on our guest for today, I'd love to hear, see if you can hear me and make sure all the sound is working because it took us a bit to get on tonight. So share with me where you're from and what goal you would love to intentionally focus on over these next 3 months. Now, I do have some questions that I'm going to answer today because the last few days have been about our friend group. How do we find dreamers, right? How do we find people who are positive and goal focused and are not living in the world of chaos or the world of drama? Now, as you'll see throughout this challenge and within the 90-day U-Turn content, we talk a lot about living in the world of dreams versus the world of drama. And what I mean by that is truly getting out of fight or flight mode, that constant chronic stress where we're living at a 9, 7, 8, 9. It doesn't take much for us to blow or to give up because we are just kind of chronically tense. We're multitasking, our heart is racing. We're in that fight or flight mode, right? And we don't want to live there anymore. And guys, there's a lot of reasons why we live there, and the world kind of creates an environment where that is where we live. But in 90-day U-Turn, we learn to unplug from the chaos and to really get back in alignment where we can hear our heart, hear ourself, and live in rest and digest. Yes, I call it the world of dreams. You could call it the world of panic versus peace. You could call it chaos versus calm. You could call it sabotage, saboteurs. This is where you sabotage in fight or flight mode versus sage. There's a lot of different words to describe these two states, and both are really important to our success as human beings. However, we don't want to live in fight or flight mode. We don't want to live in chronic stress. We want to find ways to live in rest and digest. And then if we get into chronic stress because of a life situation, we know what that feels like and we can work to get back. So the question that I am going to ask our guest today is truly about creating the importance of creating community, how to create community, how to find community, and the importance of truly surrounding yourself with people who are dreamers. So big dreamer, welcome to Robin Savage. Yay, we figured it out.
Hey.
Thank you for being flexible. Goodness sakes, it just is always something, but my husband is always right. And he just said, switch the internet, and it worked this time. So thank you for hanging in there with me. Before we jump in, I want to officially, again, say congratulations on retirement. I know at the beginning of the summer, you announced your retirement and you said, I don't know if I'll really feel it until it gets to be at the time that school starts. So school is now starting. And are you feeling your retirement these days?
I really am. It's August and I should be in my classroom getting ready. I should be planning out my lessons, and I'm not doing that. And it's just a really cool place. It's a cool space. I'm looking forward to enjoying summer in September because I have never experienced summer in September before. outside of the classroom.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, we are going to chat a bit about your experience with the 90-day U-turn. And I know you actually did this exact Stop Sabotaging challenge last winter, knowing you were going to retire. I mean, I guess I'd love to hear where you were back in December and what made you say, okay, I need that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, honestly, I felt like I was lost and stuck for a couple of reasons. I mean, obviously, I was about to embark on this major transition in my life, moving from 31 years of teaching to no longer teaching. But prior to that, over the past couple of years, my family experienced quite a few losses. People passing away, and it was like one thing after another, and I felt like I was being hit by one wave after another. And my children are now grown, so they're adults, and they're leaving, they've left the home. So there were so many things happening in the past few years where I just felt stuck. I mean, that's the best way for me to describe it. I felt stuck. I didn't know who I was, or didn't know how to even begin to figure out what my purpose was going to be moving forward. And I was just crying out for help, really, when the Stop Self-Sabotage program popped into my view. And I figured, let me take a look at that, and realized, oh yeah, I'm a big part of my own problem. Yeah.
And I think that can be empowering to be like, okay, I can do something here. And there's a reason why I mean, you had a lot of grief. You had things that you needed to process through. You had change, you were pivoting. And what's a fascinating thing about pivoting is that it's grief from what we're leaving behind, but we also want to create a vision for your future. And we don't often do that alone, right? It's way
Right.
easier to have guidance on that journey. So you said yes to the Stop Sabotaging challenge. And then what was your goal for joining 90-day U-turn last January?
My basic goal was to get unstuck.
Okay, that's a good
Basically, that was basically it. I mean, I felt like I was at this point where I had to make some decisions about what was going to be important to me. Try to become reacquainted with who Robin actually is. And so that was a big thing for me. Just to be able to also develop relationships with people who also were doing the same thing. That was huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what were your favorite parts when you first got started with 90-day U-turn?
Oh, wow. Oh, goodness. There are so many parts that I absolutely loved. I love the hypnosis. I was a little skeptical, I have to say, at first. And I'm like, is this really going to be helpful? And, yeah, very helpful as far as helping me to reprogram my brain and to think in a more positive and productive way. And it's just been awesome. I loved the activities that we did at the beginning too, where we had to essentially, we were allowed to dream. That was the big thing. And asking that question, what do I really want? And just keep going with, what do I want? What do I want? I mean, that was huge, because honestly, I didn't think I really knew what I wanted. And having that space to be able to ask myself that question on my own, but then to process it with other people in the group, that was just phenomenal. To hear that so many times, many of us kind of wanted similar things, or I would hear something that somebody else said, and it just jumped in, like it just made my spirit leap, like, oh my goodness, yes, that is exactly what I want, and that was absolutely huge, having those opportunities. And then moving on and into the grief sessions and things like that, wow, that really allowed me to unpack a lot. And like you always say, peel away those onion layers, and kind of be able to shed some things that were getting in my way all of this time. So I didn't
Absolutely.
have one, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. So for those that don't quite know what the hypnosis is all about, hypnosis is basically a video or like an audio that you listen to while you're falling asleep or cleaning or doing something where you're just kind of like in a Zen mode. And what it does is it speaks life into your subconscious. So we're not hypnotizing anyone. It's not that at all. It's really just like a meditation or I don't know, affirmations or whatever you want to call it. And I give people 3. So they have 1 per month within 90-day U-turn. And the goal is to just give you that added level of foundation, because we know that if your foundation is unworthiness or insecurity, right, then that will be the fruit that you get of insecurity. But when you can really firm up that foundation and build that strength, that inner strength, then whatever you create will be born out of that, which will just be much more fruitful. And then I love what you said about being able to do the exercises, but then also communicate about them. And I think it might be the therapist in me, but I'm like, okay, if we could all just like listen to a video and be changed, we would already be there.
Mhm.
So there's learning to be had for sure, but there's something that happens when we speak out loud. And so to have a partner and get a chance to actually share and get feedback, that's a really important piece of the puzzle that we don't get in normal everyday life.
That is so true. In some circles, if I were to share in the way that I've been able to share through the 90-day U-turn program, I would be laughed at, truth be told, or not necessarily well received. And again, just having that community, it also gives you permission, I felt, to dream and to think bigger. That I definitely felt that. Just listening to many of the people that I was paired with over the course of that time. And, yeah, if I was dreaming a little small and somebody said, oh, what else? What else are you thinking? And it just allowed me to just dream so much bigger. Yeah, it was awesome.
So would you say that new dreams were birthed throughout your experience?
Yes, I certainly would.
So tell everybody kind of what happened, because you came in a bit confused, a bit stuck, knowing you're going to retire, but still like not quite sure what that really looks like. So what dreams birthed or were you reminded of during your time?
Well, it's so funny because I did take a 90-day U-turn twice because I felt like after the first one, I wasn't finished. I needed to keep going. And the first round, I kind of focused a little bit more on my network marketing business, and which was fine. And then I moved into the second round, and like these other layers started to peel away. And I became reacquainted with this little seed that was planted probably about 15 years ago when I was teaching middle school. And it was just reminding me that for teenagers, their world is very small in many ways, for some students more than others. And they don't often get those opportunities to find their purpose and to be able to take what they have to offer the world and give it. And I thought, way back then, it would be so cool to have something available for teenagers. And I forgot about it, honestly, over the past 15 years, other things I was thinking about. And during the second round of 90-day U-turn, it's like that seed just started to grow. And just, in conversations with other people who were going through your coaching program and just what we were doing throughout the course, it just became this big thing for me, so yeah, the new seeds were planted for sure, and new things developed. And now I'm working towards developing a teen leadership program.
Yeah. Woohoo. And you are going to be a support coach in the next round of 90-day U-turn, and you're getting fully certified in the next few
Yep.
months. We're going to meet in Destin in just a few months as well. So much fun stuff happens. And again, it's like, sometimes people will say, well, how much can really change in 3 months? And I'm like, well, actually quite a bit and we can put you on a new trajectory, right? And so we're not fixing all of the world's problems, but let's shed some of those onion layers and gain clarity. And all of a sudden, just a 10% shift, and you're moving in a different direction. And that new
Right.
direction gives you clarity for retirement, excitement. So you don't necessarily have FOMO for all the teachers going back to school, because you're creating your own curriculum of things that you really want to teach. You're including the Dream Life content. You're ending with the dream dinner, and you're incorporating these service projects that like so needed, so fun, and you're doing it in your way.
Yeah, yeah. And wow, and I'm just blown away every time I actually think about this because this was not my intent. It wasn't the trajectory that I thought I would be taking, even though I wasn't totally clear on that. But like you said, so much clarity came through the process.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, if I had not had this experience of being able to sit back and assess, like, where am I now? Where is my here? And what is my there? And learn these skills that could help me get from here to there, all the while dreaming big and learning how not to shrink those dreams. I'm telling you, I could not have done this in any other way than through this program.
I love that. And so I've got a couple more questions. One of them is about the community. Now, a lot of the questions we've been getting within the Stop Sabotaging group is like, how do I find community? And like, I need new community. And what I have realized throughout my years is that it's not something that you fall into. It really is
Right.
something intentional. So what was different about the community within 90 Day U-Turn that you felt like was a bit different than other communities you've joined?
Well, I think for one, because we were meeting every week and we had time in breakout groups to have these conversations in small groups and then come back as a whole group, I think that kind of created that environment where people just felt comfortable to share, and you got to know each other, and that is huge because there was a trust that was there, and because of that trust you felt comfortable, and you knew that, well, at least for me, I knew that every Tuesday I was coming to a group that was going to be super supportive and challenging at the same time, and that was absolutely phenomenal because and the truth of the matter is that you just don't find that in, you know, normal everyday life,
Yeah, you'd be
sadly.
like, we don't have these conversations at the grocery store when you're
No,
talking to
no,
random
no, we don't.
people. No, and it's intentional conversations. And
Mhm.
because it's the same cohort, right? The trust is built and you see the same faces every single week and you get to actually talk about real life things. And what I have
Right.
found is it's actually way easier to talk to people that aren't in your normal everyday circle about the hard stuff because you know you're not going to see them. You know they're not going to talk about it to your friend down the street. Like, you know, these people are confidential and that can bring a level of trust too.
That is true. Yes, I would agree.
And then you're also talking to people who are on their own growth journey. You know, they're excited about growth. They're excited about what's next. And they are kind of digging deep and dreaming big. So you're on some, but they might not be the same path. Of course, everybody's got their own stories, but you're working with growth focused people, which is, again, not something you get to randomly fall into.
Exactly. And I think that was so cool, because I remember my first time through, um, there were people who had been through the program a couple of times already, and it didn't matter, because whether you were in the program for the first time or if it was your third time, you still were on this journey, and there were still layers that we could shed no matter how many times, and I'm just imagining now being able to go through in September, as a support coach.
Yeah.
And I know there are still layers that I'm going to be shedding in that process as well. And I think that's the cool thing because we never really arrive. So we should always be looking for those opportunities to grow. And, this program was certainly a great way to enable us to do that.
Yeah. Creating that space. So the one question that we had, and we're going to have to hop off early because we do have another call here at 8. And because we got on late, I apologize to everybody who is waiting for us. But we'll end here in just a sec. But one of the questions that I got was, how does 90 Day, is 90 Day U-Turn a trauma program, and how is it different from other trauma programs? And the way that I would answer that is that it wasn't created to be a trauma program. Because of my background, it is like, we can house that, you know what I mean? Like, we can take that hard stuff and help move people through it. It's really a what's next program. It's like it's a in a focused program, you would talk about all the stuff. Like I've led trauma groups before, and you would talk about the hard stuff, and it would be about that. And what I have found is we get what we focus on, right? So although there's
Right.
a season for that to be a focus, to get it, to purge it, to get it out of your system, to talk about it, at some point, we want to say, all right, what do I want my life to look like now? And how do I heal and move forward on this journey? And so what we do in 90 Day U-Turn is teach skills to get out of fight or flight mode into rest and digest, but then also gain that clarity and excitement for what's next, because we want that to be bigger than the trauma, than the fear, than the insecurity, and that kind of thing. So do you have anything that you would add to answer that question?
I can echo it very well, but yeah, no, it's so true. We didn't stay as the layers of the onion are being peeled. We're not staying there,
Yeah.
and I think that is such a cool thing. It's acknowledging and recognizing, and then, okay, how can we move forward now?
Yeah.
We can't change the past. How can we now move forward? And to me, that was completely empowering to be able to do that and have those skills that you can use
Yeah.
whenever life happens, because life is going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
And having those skills available it was just a great thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So my final question is what would you say to somebody who is on the fence or thinking, you know what, I need a loving kick in the right direction. I'm feeling a bit stuck. I'm feeling a bit confused. Like, I don't really know what I want next. I just know I don't want to be here anymore. And they're considering joining in the next round. What would you say to them?
Oh my goodness, do it. Just do it. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to, be cliche, but if you feel at all drawn to this program, if there are any aspects that you've been hearing about and it just kind of, settles in your heart a little bit, like, maybe just jump in, and I can't imagine where I would be right now if I had not jumped in. I would be afraid to think I would still be in a confused place. But it's just such a wonderful experience. Truly life changing. And the relationships that you develop within the group, they're just phenomenal. And, I know I can reach out to anyone in the group at any time if I have questions about things or need a little feedback. And that's a cool place to be too. I would just say, definitely take advantage of the opportunity to be involved in something like this, and you will never regret it.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you, Robin, for your time and for your wisdom. Thank you guys for popping on live. If you're interested in learning more about 90 Day U-Turn, put hashtag 90 Day U-Turn in the comments. We are going to hop on the coaching cohort group in just a minute. But for all of you in the Stop Sabotaging Challenge, we'll be back here at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, hopefully right on time. Have an awesome night, you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.